Welcome. I want to introduce Stefanie Huff. She is a physician and she's also a divorce coach. And I believe, Stefanie, you kind of fell into this as a result of your own divorce.
True.
And so I just want to, I want you to start out with just your background in all things as a physician and how you kind of fell into this other line of work.
Sure, great. Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, I'm a full-time emergency physician here in Denver, and I have been divorced now almost 9 years, over 9 years. And I have two kids, ages 12 and 10. So they were very little when I got divorced. They were 3 and 1,
Mhm.
and it was not an amicable divorce. And so it really took a toll on me as a physician and as a mom. And I struggled for many years dealing with the divorce and with my challenging co-parent, and dealing with work and
That's a
uh,
lot.
a lot, and caring for the kids and having
Yeah.
all the daycare, the nannies, the night nannies, and then also trying to figure out how to co-parent with somebody that we just really didn't get along very well. And so as it went on, it took about 4 years, I think, and my lawyer just finally said to me one day, she just said, "Stop, just
I
stop."
love this.
And I was just like, I was like, "What?" She was just like, "This is enough." She's like, "You need to start parallel parenting." And that was the first start of things changing, was when I started to learn about parallel parenting, because, so often we hear about co-parenting and cooperatively parenting together. So as I started learning about parallel parenting, I also, about the same time, was introduced to life coaching. And I had a life coach who's a physician. Her name's Katrina Ubel. And she actually is probably one of the first physician life coaches that I know of. And I
Mhm.
did her program, which is actually focused on weight loss for busy physicians. And interestingly enough, I really didn't end up losing a whole lot of weight, but that was because the weight wasn't the issue. It was like everything else going on in my life was the issue.
Mhm. Mhm.
And using her life coaching, I started to transform my relationship with my ex, with my co-parent. And he didn't even have to be involved. He didn't
Yeah.
know. He
Yeah.
had no clue what I was doing, but it changed my way of living, and it improved my life so much, and it improved my
Yeah.
relationship with my kids, that then things with him started to improve as well. And so that's when I decided that this needs to be shared
I
with
love that.
many people
I,
as possible. And
yeah.
like, I didn't even know that like divorce coaching was a thing. And maybe
Mhm.
it really wasn't when I got divorced, almost 10
Yeah.
years ago. So I got certified as a life coach, and my passion is helping divorced moms make that difficult situation less difficult. So I'm here to help people know what resources are available
Mhm.
when we don't know what to do, we don't know where to start, we don't know what's ahead of us. I also like helping, especially physician moms or high achieving
Yeah.
moms, um, when you just get stuck, when you get stuck in this divorce process and this co-parenting, and you're like, how do I make this better? Like, I don't even know where to begin into improving this. And I can't, am I going to live like this forever until my kids are in college,
Yeah.
and there are things that you can do for yourself to not have to suffer so much through such a difficult transition.
What do you think when your attorney like said that to you? Because you're a high achiever, you're strong-willed. I mean, I know that just from having conversations with you. What do you think it was that made you even open to hearing what she said? Because I deal with a lot of that with the divorcing couples that I'm working with, and I mean, I don't have the training that you have, so I don't know how to kind of get them off of that, their high horse or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, right? So
Right.
what cracked you open, I guess?
Well, and I do think she took a risk in
Mm,
saying that to me, because if you're not open to hearing what other people have to say about what you're doing to contribute to the issue,
mm-hmm,
then it is probably going to land on deaf ears. But,
mm,
I had been with my lawyer for 4 years, 5 years. I met her 3 years before I actually got divorced.
okay.
So we had a very trusting relationship. So I think hearing her finally say, like, this is enough, stop. I think we just had that sort of relationship where I did take her advice to heart, and it, again, also hearing the words parallel parenting, I didn't even know that was an option. But
Mm-hmm,
I do think you have to be open to start having some self-awareness, and if you're not open to that, if you're not open to looking at yourself and reflecting on your own behaviors, then it's just a lost cause. So
yeah.
all you can do is offer it as a possibility that maybe you're contributing to this issue. And if you look at what your behaviors are doing, then that's where the possibilities begin to make change.
Mm-hmm,
But until somebody isn't open to that idea of looking at themselves,
sure.
things are going to stay the same. So it was a risk. She took a
Yeah,
risk telling me that, but I'm so glad she did.
yeah.
And I hope more people hear that and are like, oh, maybe I am
Like
contributing.
maybe it's maybe I have something to
Yeah,
do with it, right?
yeah. But and it makes sense, right? We want a villain and a victim in most
Mhm,
situations. That's just what our brain does. So we don't want to be, or we don't want to be the villain in any way. So the other person's the
yeah.
villain and we're the victim. But when you can get out of that victim mode and empower yourself to take control of your life and figure out what you can control and what you can't control, that's when you can really start to make the changes and improve your life in the way that you want it to improve.
Yeah, so awesome.
Mm.
So let's talk about the whole divorce coaching thing, because
Sure.
I think you're right. Like when you went through your divorce, I don't think divorce coaches were really a thing. I think they've kind of somewhat come out of the woodwork recently, right? Divorce is up. Divorce is big business right now. We all know that. Um, I do think that there is a huge need for divorce coaches because nobody knows where to start, who to call. There are so many different areas that you can reach out for help. So when people are looking for a divorce coach, I know that you're not the divorce coach for everyone.
Right.
So I guess this is two parts. Like, what are the questions people should be asking when they're trying to find a divorce coach or interviewing a divorce coach? But then specifically you, I know that you focus on physicians and high earners. Um, I think you focus on people that you can relate to, right? Yeah.
And they can relate to me too. And like,
Yeah.
well, and those are great questions to ask. I think a lot of it does come down to like um personality, and like, do you kind of vibe with them? It's just kind of a
Mm-hmm.
feel. I'm not for everybody. I'm pretty out there. Like, I speak my mind. Tell my clients, I'm like, at some point you're gonna want to give me the middle finger, and that's okay. Like, just do it, because I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not here to like agree with everything you're saying. And a lot of times I'm going to give you the other side of the coin, and you're not going to want to hear that. But it's when you can hear the other side and you can see that there's different ways of looking at things, that's
Mm-hmm.
when you're going to start again to open up your mind to the possibility of change. So it really does come down to like just talking with them. A lot of people offer free consults. I know I offer a free next
Mm,
steps call. So I like to get a sense of where they're at in the process. Have they not even filed for divorce yet?
yeah.
Are they in the middle of it? Or have they been divorced for years and they're just frustrated with where it's going? What have they already tried? So, and then if it's someone that, like, a lot of times I'll say maybe you need to be with a therapist as opposed to a divorce coach. It's more than what
Sure.
what I can
Yeah, a little
handle.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe you need both. Some people need
Hmm.
both. Some people maybe only need a divorce coach. Some people only need a therapist. Some want both.
Yeah.
Um, and then, just are they open to listening to what you have to say in a way that works for you? We're really not here to tell people what to do. We're just here to kind of let their mind figure out what their values are, what their
Hmm.
goals are, how they could potentially reach those goals, brainstorming, coming up with different approaches, strategy,
Hmm.
and how to deal um, with the other parent in a way where you can get along without the other person changing. So I do think it's a bit of a vibe. I like looking at people's, like, Instagrams or videos, YouTube channels, that sort of, just to get an idea of
Yeah.
how they communicate and how they talk. There might be someone who is more in line with, like, your religious beliefs and you want to go that
Hmm.
direction, or maybe your culture. Maybe you want someone who understands the dynamics in the family of different cultures. So I think those are all things to think about. And, like, for me, I do tend to work more with physicians, high achievers, because we have different issues than, say, like a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
Whereas a lot of the high achievers, we are the ones who pay child support, pay alimony.
Right. And that's a different, that's
Yeah,
kind of a
it's a different.
switch, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, we're the
yeah,
breadwinners. So are we the ones moving out? Are we the ones,
right.
paying for everything? And um, and then we have access to our finances, which are greater than most people going through a divorce, which can lead to some vulnerabilities, and also can lead to us. Sometimes we fight a little more than we should because we can throw money at the problem. But
Mm.
it also leaves us
Interesting.
vulnerable to being, seeking more money from us too. So
Hmm.
it's a different set of problems
Yeah.
than other, people that are getting divorced.
Yeah. So do you have, I have a couple of things here that I've already written down, but
Sure.
I guess, do you have a memorable or just any memorable situation that you've helped out with? I mean, I don't want you to, like, name
No, yeah,
anything like
totally.
that, but is there something that really kind of stands out? Somebody that you really helped out through their divorce?
Definitely, yeah. So, one of my longest clients, she's the best. She, like, literally did everything I threw at her. Like, she journals every day. She does all the work. She put every piece of my teachings into practice, and it was just amazing to see her transformation. From, like, when she first came to me, she would cry anytime she would open an email from her ex, and it would just spin her out for weeks at a time.
Mm.
And so now, after working with me, it's only been a few years. She can email and text with him without any issues. They rarely use their attorneys anymore. And one of the things that I remember so succinctly was, we were on a session, and we were going over an email that she was thinking about sending.
Mm.
And she was like, "Oh, I don't think I can send this because he's just going to say no. And it's not going to be worth it." I was like, "Let's do this. Let's just write it up. You send it and we'll see what happens." So we wrote it up together I have a communication guide. It's called Roar No More. And it walks you through
Wait,
how
it's called what?
roar no more, like, no more
Oh,
mama.
nice. I love it.
Don't roar anymore. Okay,
Okay.
so we wrote the email using my Roar No More guide, and she sent it. And while we were still in the session, he responded with "Sure, no problem." And she was like, "Oh my God!" oh my God. She was just so shocked. And so it really is how you approach things and when you're communicating with your co-parent. And we just don't always have the clarity of how we are saying things,
Yeah.
how they're being taken by the other person, and how we're getting in our own way. And so when you can start to really see that your approach to the conversation, your if you can give the other person a little bit of agency, a little bit of respect, it can go a really long, long way in
Yeah.
making your conversations not an argument every single time.
Yeah.
And then you start to like get what you want. And it's not to say that you're like manipulating the other person. You're not. You're
Right.
just like
Right.
approaching it in a way that it's not always a tug of war. So that's where I see the biggest changes are with communicating with the other
Hmm.
parent. And that one was just, it was so awesome. She was just like,
Yeah.
oh, he's going to say no. And then we
Yeah.
sent it and he said yes. And she was just like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
That is super cool. I think the first time that we met, you told me a story kind of about that, where just, I can't remember exactly what it was, but just in the way that that you learned how to communicate with your ex. And it was coming from, like, I think in the past, it was more like you were attacking more. And
Right. Yeah.
then you really changed the way that you were communicating with him. And, sometimes, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be manipulative or ass kissing or anything, like that to change the outcome, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love
So I think there might have been two things that I was telling you about. The first one was like a lot of times we send an email and we think it's a pleasant, easy email, that it's very focused and informative. And hey, I said
point.
please. I said
Mhm.
please on it. Like if you say please pick the kids up at 9 a.m. Right? Like that's my example. Like please pick the kids up at 9 a.m. That seems business focused. I said please. That keeps it very short. But that is technically an order. Like you're ordering the person to do that. And if my ex sent me that, I probably wouldn't be super thrilled to hear, please pick the kids up at 9 a.m. I'd be like, well, I'm busy,
Yeah.
So just doing that, you're not asking, you're telling them to do something. So if you can just switch it to a question, and again,
Mhm.
allowing them recognition of their agency and their ability to say yes or no, because they are adult humans, just like we're
Yeah.
adult humans. So if you just say, would you be able to pick the kids up at 9 a.m.? Question mark. That's
Yeah.
it, right? They're either going to say yes or no or something else, right?
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
least you've given them the option, as opposed to if you send them an order, like, please pick the kid, they're more likely to say no, even if
Yeah.
they can, right? Just
Yeah.
because you ordered them. So just, would you be able to? And then you can go from there. Then their thoughts on it without like attacking them. So that's the big one. Just switch it to a question.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you did this in this interview, because I think that's such a small
Such a
snippet
small
of
one.
what you're able to
Yeah.
work with, right?
Yeah.
So I
Totally.
love that. I love that.
Great.
All right. So before we wrap up here, I guess, are there any final thoughts that you want to put out there to the world, whoever is going to be watching this on YouTube?
Well, I just think people should at least look at hiring a divorce coach or talking to a divorce coach even before they're thinking about getting divorced, because the earlier we're there in the process, the more we can help out through it all. But
Mhm.
also, don't think that because you've been divorced for however long that you don't need a divorce coach anymore. Like the coaching helped me a good 6 to 7 years after my divorce. So
Yeah.
you can change at any point and you can make it better at any point. And I'm not saying that like everything's going to be perfect and rainbows and daisies and unicorns, but the point is that now you can deal with things in an easier way, get over them quicker, and move on with your life so that, you know, your struggles with this other person aren't wearing you down and are just like this huge burden that just sucks your lifeblood out of you. I don't know.
I'm so glad you said that, because I never would have thought, even though that's kind of how we started out this interview, was you were talking about that. Like, but I never would think to refer somebody to a divorce coach after their final divorce decree. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, totally.
So
I mean, we
that's,
have to,
yeah,
when you have kids with somebody, you're dealing with them for
yeah,
forever.
the
Even
rest of your
once
life.
they're in college, you know, you're still
Yeah.
dealing with like, how do we attend graduation? How do we
Mine
do
are
weddings,
grown adults right now.
right?
So I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the sooner you can start to figure out how you want to show up in this
Mhm.
relationship, because it's always going to be there. That relationship is
Yeah.
always going to be there. When you can start to come to your own realization of how you want to be showing up in this divorce, then any issue that comes at you, you can just go right back to that. This is how I want to show up. This is how I want to live my life. And you can get through those issues so much quicker.
Yeah.
And that's why the name of my business is Figure Life Out. And it's because whatever anyone throws at me, I know I'll figure it out. Whatever life
Yeah.
throws at me, I can figure it out. Might take longer for some things.
Sure.
It might take some trial and error, but I know I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can definitely check out my website. It's
Yeah. How do people find you?
yeah.
Yeah.
So figurelifeout.com, and
Okay.
you can schedule a next steps call with me for free, a little free consult call to see if I'm what you're looking for, and if I can help you out. I have some free resources on there as well, some webinars, and my Roar No More is on there too.
Love it.
It's my communication guide. And then on Instagram, I'm Figure Life Out MD, and on there I have a lot of little short videos that kind of give some tips and tricks. That's probably where the most amount of information is on Instagram, but then I'm also on like TikTok and Facebook at Figure Life Out MD. So,
Okay. And you mentioned in the beginning, I know you're here in Denver with me, but you can help anybody
divorce
nationwide,
coaching, you can
right?
go anywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, my resources that I have are more focused to the Denver area,
Uh-huh.
but I can at least say like, you know, if you want, like, I didn't know about CDLPs, you know, certified divorce lending professionals. So I could be like, look for a CDLP in your area.
Mhm.
And they'd be like, what's a CDLP? And I was like, well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Or, you know, a CDFA, or
Yeah.
at least I can maybe brainstorm some ideas of other resources that might be available in their area. But yeah, I can coach anyone, anywhere.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you always.
You too. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.